committee. Mine won't vote. I punched that mic, and mine's not coming through. Megan usually has this all fixed up for me before I start, but I can still screw it up. Nope, can't get it to go. Do I have to go all the way through? Hmm. No, I still.
Yeah, I'm on. You're right.
All right, everybody here.
I couldn't get it to go. Yeah. I have to go to that home first. Just hit the mic.
Oh, there.
Now it's on. Thank you. Shauna, thank you. Okay. When you going to take your children to go out to see Williamsburg? How are they?
No, but oh, yeah, I can hear you.
The vote has been cast and it's unanimous. Mr. Rosenbaum, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Mr.
All right, Paul, welcome to our meeting. Okay, going on with the regular order of business. First of all, of course, we have the approval of our minutes. Need a motion on that. Motion by Terry, seconded by Danny. Anybody see any changes or corrections in regards to our meeting? Past meeting. All those in favor, vote. Motion carried. Our informational items, the very first one, Brian Johnson is going to present for our sanitary district, and he also has some guests that he has brought with him for our meeting. So, Brian.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before I introduce my guests, just business first. In the packet you have before you are April minutes. I wanted to highlight our one of these big projects on here in the consent agenda. I know it's lengthy, so I like to point out anything major in there. Is automation project number 2 to Oberlander Electric, who is the bidder on this project. This is a continuation of our PLC upgrades and SCADA upgrades within the treatment plant to really to modernize the electronics and the information systems within the plant. So automation project 1 is nearing completion. It was a big success, and we're just continuing it on. So wanted to highlight that because it was a major item, and I'm happy to answer any questions on the packet that I'll introduce who I brought with me today.
Any questions for Brian? Go ahead, Terry.
Just a brief comment. Brian's not one to toot his own horn, but in addition to that project, they have successfully installed a solar power system. They generate their own power and are, I understand, buying some solar farm energy to even further reduce energy costs. So there's a lot going on down there. And I'll say this again, as I should every year, that the sanitary district in Peoria is a great mentor to the smaller surrounding sanitary districts. And I will thank you again, Brian, for all the help you give us up in Chillicothe.
Yeah, happy to do it. Thank you.
Thank you for pointing that out, Terry. As I know, including myself, I didn't know a whole lot about the sanitary district, although I had a brother that went down there and worked for a contractor that helped build some of the buildings and so forth. But I didn't know how important this sanitary district is. I mean, they operate, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And if they go under sometime, we'd be in real trouble. And not that I stay up nights worrying about it, but I do know this. We've got really competent people down there. Thank you, Brian.
Appreciate it. So just keep the good comments coming, because I do have 3 people in the audience here I just wanted to briefly mention here. These are 3 students from Dunlap High School, former Dunlap High School students, because they all just graduated. So one of them in the future is thinking about becoming a judge. So I said, why don't you come down a little earlier today? We'll visit some of the courtrooms, talk to some of the attorneys, and then go to the county infrastructure meeting to see how it all comes together from various angles of the county. So I just wanted to mention they were here today. Thank you for having us.
Give us their names, and each one of you, I want you to stand up.
I'm thrilled to do that. Kai, right here, Sydney, and the guy who looks just like me is Luke, and that's Luke Johnson, who's my oldest son.
Thank you, and good luck to all 3 people. All right, moving on for the report on our funding sources and some of our other projects and so forth. Heather's going to do this for us. Thank you, Heather.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Mine's definitely not as exciting as Brian's introductions, but congratulations to you three. In your packet, you have the current listing of all the projects that are going on at the county, across the county. And we have a few that are getting close to wrapping up. That'll move to the completed list next month. One of which you can see out back at the Courtyard Plaza, and I think everyone has been celebrating that. So if you have any questions on specific ones, please let me know, and I'm happy to answer.
Any questions for Heather? Thank you, Heather.
Thank you.
Moving into our agenda relating to our resolutions. First resolution has to do with service contracts, and we need a motion on that, please. Motion by Terry. Second by Betty.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I've got this one today because Melissa is out of the office. But it's also apropos because I think I wrote the original bid spec almost a quarter century ago, the first time we bid this, when I had a different role in the organization. So approximately once every 5 years, although it's been a little bit longer, pre-COVID since we did this last time, we go out for bids for time and materials for each of the MEP trades. So that's electricians, plumbers, and HVAC. And the way we structure the bid, and we have for a long time, is we establish a pool of qualified contractors that are responding in each one of those three areas. And then as projects or as needs come available, so whether it be, we need to call a licensed plumber for something, or we need to, let's say, for example, perform winter maintenance on our chillers, as another example, we do all those work in a time and material fashion. So put the bid out on the street, and you can see in the packet who the respondents were. For plumbing, we have Illini Plumbing and Pipco. For electrical, we have Kerner and Oberlander and Pipco, and then for HVAC, we have Pipco and Rural Mechanical. So that would be the pool of qualified bidders, and then we go through a call process whenever we would call to one of them. So the recommendation is to award the bid as written up for that pool of contractors by the various trade at the various straight time, overtime, and apprenticeship rates that you see on the bid report in the packet. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Scott?
I am, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Terry.
Just one. We get to the bottom of the list, and I noticed the hourly rate and overtime for rural mechanical is substantially higher than the other ones. Is there a standard procedure on how you call them? Are you affected by that higher number, or do we follow a rotation when we have to call people?
Traditionally, it's been by building. So as an example, under the contract that's expiring for plumbing, Illini has done most of the work in this building, and Dillon has done most of the work at the jail. Overlander's done most of the work at the jail, and Fleming does quite a bit of the work here at the courthouse. But you'll note that both Fleming and Dillon in those two examples did not respond to the bid. Pipco is a new bidder that has previously not responded to this bid, so we'll figure out a way to work them into the process. Doing work here is a little bit different than doing work at, say, the jail or the juvenile detention center. We've got to go through some extra security protocols, obviously, to have those folks in the building. But we'll work with each one of them to make sure that all the security background checks are passed for the folks that are going to be assigned to our account, and then we don't, like I said, it's pretty much based on which building the work is in.
Okay.
My question, Scott, is this. As a construction worker, I always love to get on those jobs that were time and material. Is this beneficial for us?
It is, in that we needed to create a mechanism for who to call and to give some level of competition, so that we just weren't always calling someone or the same contractor over and over and over. We also, in the bid specs, limit the amount of markup on materials and supplies, so that any one contractor, we basically know how much we're going to pay in those supplies and materials, whether it's something that's on the truck or something they have to go to a supply house to purchase for whatever they're doing. So I think this is the best way that we've found to make sure that we've got a fair, competitively bid process to establish who to call when we need to call someone, and there's going to be times where we do need to call someone, and it gives at least for those that choose to respond, it gives the greatest chance possible for everybody to get some of the work.
So you guys set some standards for them. I like that. I just know that time and material demand, some contractors, as well as the workers, just love to jump on those kind of jobs. But anyway, I'm glad you're still protecting us. Any other questions? Yes, Mr. Dillon?
Coach, for a good example we can use at the jail. So even to invest in some of those pods that Sean had looked at, we got quotes that I think range from $6,000-7,000 to redo pods. We did it under our T&M contract. We bought the material, and I think we were $2,500-3,000 a pod, roughly. So it has its values, especially with the jail is its different beast, but typically we have the same person assigned to these accounts, which if after hours you can call that person and they directly respond, which adds some added value to it. And usually our people are with them the whole time. So any concern of T&M of hide and seek isn't, I'm confident that we have protections in place.
Thank you. Any
Coach,
other
I've got
questions?
one.
Mr. Rosenbaum has a question.
Okay, Paul, go ahead.
Thank you. Scott, is the reason we have multiple plumbing and multiple electrical because of the different buildings, or if one of them can't do it, let's say they're too busy, there's an emergency out or whatever, bad weather or something, do we have it so the other one can go in, or is it just because you have some go take care of one facility and some take care of the other?
But ideally, Mr. Rosenbaum, we would have liked to have seen more bidders respond, so we could have even had more competition, more rotation. I think the worst possible outcome would have been to get only one bidder in each of the three trades. But this way, at least, we do have the ability to rotate through those that did respond.
Okay, so all three bidders that, let's say, are electrical, they could you rotate through them, so they might all three work on the jail. So they'd have more contractors that would understand what's going on out there that could, instead of just one contractor working on it, you'd have other ones that would be more familiar with it. Am I correct on that?
Well, it'd probably be on a job by job basis. So, time and materials jobs are typically smaller jobs. Anything larger than that, we would try and bid as a specific project.
Okay.
But but that doesn't mean let's use electrical as an example. It doesn't mean, Kerner, say, gets project A and Oberlander gets project B and PIPCO gets project C. Part of it is not an automatic rotation, but it also includes availability and throughout the course of this 5-year period, customer satisfaction. So if we're having a good experience with one of the specific vendors, we might be more inclined to call them first. But that doesn't mean they automatically are going to get every single T&M project that comes up.
Okay, that makes sense. It's just I knew there was a rhyme and reason for it. I was just wanting to make sure that I understood it better. But no, that makes perfectly good sense, and it keeps them on their toes, wanting to do a good job for us, so they could possibly get called more then. So that sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, please? Go ahead, Jim.
Scott, maybe just touch on, we put this out, and if we do have some new vendors in here, if we do have some coverage issues from having new vendors, there's nothing that precludes us at any time I know we didn't put this out for a long time, but say in 6 months, putting it back onto the street, asking for more vendors, because we were willing to take, we've always usually taken top 3. For some reason, I have no idea why, we only received 2, and some of our long-term vendors did not reply. So this could be something we put back out in the near future to add vendors.
Absolutely correct, Mr. Dillon. We'll monitor activity and response time and all those types of things, and if warrants it, or if an opportunity presents itself in 6-9 months, we certainly could put it back out for contract again.
Any other questions? Vote. Paul?
I voted on the iPad. Mr.
Okay,
Chairman.
thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution passes. Our next item of business on our agenda for the next resolution, and that's going to be an agreement in regards to the highways here in Peoria County, and we need a motion on that. Motion by Sharon, seconded by Marcy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is our annual agreement with Bradley University to do the pavement inspection for half of the county system of roads. This year, the cost is $37,135, and it'll be coming out of the county motor fuel tax account.
Questions for Amy? And they're gonna now. I think Scott told us in our meeting with Danny Kelchmead that they had been doing this, but we're gonna have a camera attached to. Can you say a little bit about that to their
Sure.
particular vehicle? And
Yeah, so since 2008, Bradley's been doing this visual inspection for us. And this year, we've had opportunity to work with another grant that IDOT has in place with the county to do some smart cities work. And we're going to have the folks from Bradley put cameras on their car and get some additional data, video data, to be used for a smart city project. So that's a slight additional expense. You'll note if you look at the agreement with Bradley, and that's about, I think, about $2,000 or $3,000 to cover those additional expenses for that data.
any questions for Amy on that? Vote. Resolution passes. Our next resolution has to do with the highway safety improvement program. We need a motion on that. Motion by Betty, seconded by Terry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The county received funds from the Illinois Department of Transportation for some intersection improvements. We've had some high crash locations, and we want to make some improvements to lessen our crashes there. And what it's in front of you today is a federal agreement to cover the engineering portion of this project. So once we get the engineering done, we can start work on the design for a future construction project.
Questions for Amy? Now these are 6 intersections. We adopted a resolution in regard to this last month, and I think it was Paul that explained to us that kind of when he was a younger person that they didn't have too much signage that did a lot of warning and so forth about some of these intersections, and now we are getting all this money to where we're not going to have to pay as much. I think what are we going to eventually pay, about $4,500 for the whole project?
We pay 10%, so
Yeah.
the state pays 90%. So it's a pretty good deal for us.
And basically, it was our highway department that negotiated this for us. You guys went after some money, federal money, and the state, and you guys agreed upon it and so forth. That's great. Any questions in regard to this?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Paul.
No questions. I just want to say thank you for Amy and her team getting this because a lot of these roads out here along 116, I'm sure the other ones are the same way, are ones that are heavily traveled. And anytime we can have more safety along there and cut down on accidents and fatalities, that's just a wonderful thing. So thank you again for it. I really appreciate it.
Okay. No other questions or comments in regard? Vote. Resolution carries. The parking deck resolution, which we need to get on the on the floor here to vote on. We need a motion. Motion by Marcy, seconded by Danny.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I've got this one too. Kyle is also out today. So if you recall last fall, the board approved a guaranteed maximum price for this project. This step in the process are the actual bids for the work. The work scope are the two stairwells that front Jefferson, and then the other stairwell, the third stairwell, which fronts Hamilton. Near the entrance to the parking deck. All three of those have moderate to significant corrosion over time, and we're essentially going to upgrade or replace the metal stairs within those three stairwells. We're also going to be doing some grading work because all of the water that comes into the deck and comes down the exit ramp dumps into one of those two stairwells that fronts Jefferson, and that's caused a significant amount of corrosion over time. So we're going to do some things to redirect that water into proper drainage and try and avoid that problem going forward. So PJ Hare, as our construction manager, worked with us on finalizing that scope, put it out for bid. They created an internal wall so that they could still bid the work, which is allowed under our construction management agreement with them. And they were the only bidder for both the general trades package and the painting package. Their bids came in at $223,267. We're recommending that be the base bid to be approved, but we're also recommending that we include some additional dollars that will keep us under the guaranteed maximum price, but allows for some contingency just in case we run into some issues with the drainage work or one of those stairwells that we really did not anticipate. I fully expect that we probably will not need all of those contingencies, but we want to make sure that we've got them in the project budget and that we're already in good to go and don't have to come back for additional change orders to the committee or the board. Whatever is unspent at the end of the project will roll back into the capital projects fund and could be used for another project yet this year because the money's been appropriated, or if we get to the end of the year, then it lapses into fund balance, and the board can then have a policy decision next year as to what to do with those dollars. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Scott? Vote. Mine jumped out. Let's see.
Mr. Chairman, mine's an I can't get my iPad to work, so.
I'm having trouble.
There we go.
Thank you. Mine just finally went in too. Everybody okay?
Mine worked.
Thank you. Motion carries. Moving on, those are our 4 resolutions. Good job, people. Thank you. Public comment. Anybody got anything for public comment? Yes.
Come to the microphone.
Turn to mic.
Is it on? Stay on.
So what exactly like entices a company to bid on a project that you guys are working on?
I think first and foremost, it needs to be a company that is familiar with the type of work that is covered by the scope of the project, and then whether or not they have the capacity within their company's current work portfolio. So, do they have enough person power and capacity to do the job? Sometimes companies don't bid because they just can't take on any extra work. Third, if they think they can submit a price that's competitive and that they might actually get the job, because both of the 2 action items the committee voted on today that were bids were sealed bids. So that means you have to put your price for the project in envelope, literally in an envelope, and seal it, and then nobody knows what that is until we open all of them at the same time, and we determine which one is the lowest bid, and then we go through and determine if that low bid is actually the most responsive. Did they fill out all the required paperwork? Did they acknowledge any addendums that we issued during the process? Do they have a full understanding of what the project really is, and can they do it? And if they check all those boxes, then whoever the lowest bidder is recommended to this body to be awarded the work.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the question. And anybody else with them?
Well, I'll have 3 miscellaneous items, Chairman, once you get there.
All right. We'll move on to miscellaneous. Go ahead, Betty.
Yeah, I'd like to acknowledge my granddaughter, Malia, is here all the way from Dallas, Texas. Malia, stand up. Welcome home.
I'm happy for you, Betty. Who else
Okay.
has got one?
I have 3.
You had 3.
I have 3, technically 4, Malia. I love that water bottle. Go Cyclones. The 3, in all seriousness, the 3 items that I have. One, just a reminder for the committee members that the ribbon cutting for the Bicentennial Park out back is 1:00 on Friday afternoon. Hopefully you can all be there. Second, if you didn't see the media coverage or see it in the update, we were able to have a little ceremony last week and accepted $1 million from Congressman Hood for Radnor Road. That'll go towards engineering for that project. And then third and final on the executive committee agenda tomorrow is an intergovernmental agreement for the Chillicothe Railroad Viaduct. It is an infrastructure project, and so when we actually bring the engineering agreement forward, it'll come to this committee. But the action tomorrow is an intergovernmental agreement with the city of Chillicothe, and intergovernmental agreements go to executive committee. What is going to go on there is the city has been awarded or is going to be awarded an engineering or a grant to do preliminary engineering on replacing the viaduct and it's 100% reimbursable, so there's no match, but it's a little bit more complex than what the city of Chillicothe is used to. So we're actually going to, working with the city and IDOT, we're going to flip the awardee to us. We'll do the procurement to retain the professional engineer to do the engineering study. You'll have an opportunity to award that contract. We're large enough that we can cash flow over the life of the grant the expense of the engineering contract while we wait for reimbursement from the state. And then the city will be responsible for working with their city engineer and the engineer that you select to make sure that there's any underground utilities owned and operated by the city or the Chillicothe Sanitary District, in any above ground infrastructure that they may tie into whatever the design may end up being. So that's just a quick summary for those of you that are not on executive committee. You'll see that tomorrow on the agenda. Thanks to Member Rulin, that's his district, and he worked very diligently with the city and the city council to ensure that we've got a smooth transition for this going forward.
And if you don't mind, Chairman, I also want to single out Shauna Musselman for right on top of it, maintaining speed throughout that situation and getting it ready to go before the IDOT deadline. So thank you, Shauna.
Mr. Dillon?
Chairman, you're probably going to get mad at me for this, but I do believe one of the most humble men that I've ever met in my life, that doesn't like to toot his own horn, that is a National Hall of Famer in track and field, was also recently recognized by the Peoria High Alumni Association for your contributions to Peoria High. Did I see that right?
Thank you. It was a humbling experience, and I really enjoyed it because I met some of my classroom students. I was always a classroom teacher. Many coaches teach PE, but I really wasn't anxious to get down there and break up fights and so forth. And I broke up enough fights in just the hallway, but I saw so many people. In fact, some of the people work right here out of the courthouse. Joe Vespa, Judge Joe Vespa, Judge John Vespa. Both of those were not only people that, Joe, I never did coach Joe, but Joe got credit for an 88-yard touchdown pass, but Joe never played football at Peoria. It was John, his brother, that caught the pass for 88 yards, and every time when they put that in 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago in the sports section, they'd always say Joe Vespa, Judge Joe, and so I'd have to call in to the Journal Star and make that correction, and they make the correction the next day and so forth. But I saw a former coach's daughter who's living down like in the area around Springfield, Glenwood, Chatham area, and I hadn't seen her probably since her dad died. And but it was a humbling experience. Thank you. All right. Anybody else with anything miscellaneous? Meeting is adjourned.